single solitary level of
dude named Ben.
That is all people in IT are now a dude named Ben. And that's your government who thinks that way. So we got a lot of emails from dudes named Ben. And I think we should evaluate a few of these. Because the IRS most definitely was using an email archiving system known as Sonasoft. And they are backpedaling as much as they can. And the system it actually is very interesting. Here's our first dude named Ben, No Agenda Night. This is our dude named Ben who turned us on to the Spectre 360 software, employee spying software. John, remember this we had?
Yep.
That takes the screen movies of everything. I happen to be very experienced with Sonasoft SonaVault email archiving software that the IRS is blaming for their lost messages. Total bullshit on their part, but what else is new? The SonaVault is deployed to archive every email that traverses the network, just in case the email server, and he says just in case, all uppercase, or employee's hard drive crashes. So this solution they had in place is specifically in place for this very reason, in case a hard drive crashes. All email that enters an organization is intercepted, logged, indexed, and archived before it is sent on to the user's email boxes. This is so that an employee cannot delete, securely or otherwise, any emails received internally or externally before being recorded and archived. Any emails sent by a user are relayed to the SonaVault before it is forwarded by the SMTP server to archive those as well. So let's just recap this. This is not like I've got emails and there's a backup process. No, the minute an email goes through the network, at the network level, the SonaVault catches it and saves it. SonaVault is an independent system from the email server on purpose. It is an on-site appliance, not in the cloud, to make sure all emails are saved in case of a server or hard drive crash. It is used for incredibly fast searches of all email. This, of course, debunks the whole idea that they have no way to search their email. And the searches can be narrowed down to ranges, email boxes, keywords, etc. SonaVault, says our dude named Ben, was my third level of backup, beside email clusters and nightly offsite disk to backups. Any IT guy or dude named Ben worth his salt knows backups and restore techniques. So did the IRS lose these backups? No effing way. Let's go on to our next. Now, Sonasoft made a statement, and this is our dude named Ben who says, I am a new IT manager for a large public accounting firm and have worked in the IT risk and security industry for several years. This includes implementing, evaluating, and auditing companies' IT security environment and best practices, including Sarbanes-Oxley, HIPAA, and others, each of which has strict retention and data archiving policies. Today, I was reading Sonasoft's blog post denying that they have the IRS's email archives, and I noticed a few nuances I want to point out. Their main point that is repeated several times is as follows, quote, Sonasoft does not have IRS email. Sonasoft never had access to IRS email. This is interesting because they stress they do not currently have IRS email, which is true, and they never had access to IRS email. They do not say they never had IRS email or the email wasn't archived, only they did not have access. So the access language is interesting because Sonasoft is attempting to tell everyone what likely happened. So this is the sleuthing from our dude named Ben. Sonasoft has safeguards and special algorithms to protect the SonaVault email archive from mischievous IT administrators who might be tempted to delete or tamper with the archived email. Any attempt to delete or modify the SonaVault email archive will capture the altered text, date stamp the attempt, and send out various alerts to IT personnel and management that an attempted breach occurred. The original email will not be changed in any way. The only way that email can be deleted from the archive is through SonaVault's expiration policies. Now, this is where we get down to the heart of it. The administrator can set retention policies to purge the archive of emails that have reached an expiration date, which is often set to a 7-year period. And this is where it gets interesting, John. It seems to be pretty much company policy across the board to limit everybody's inbox to 2 to 250 megabytes and to start deleting after 30 to 60 days. Now, this doesn't mean that the Sonasoft solution hasn't captured all this stuff, but it is very possible that the hard drive crash certainly removed Miss Lerner's emails, but that the policy set or set, in hindsight, purge the emails from the big backup solution. Dude named Ben who worked for a large oil and gas company with 2 X's in it. During my tenure, they moved to a rather annoying email policy. The inbox was limited to 250 megabytes. After 12 months, emails were moved to a to-be-deleted folder, and after another 30 or 60 days, they were deleted. The purpose of this was to force us to flush out our inbox in case litigation was to pop up, to limit the amount of discovery that could be done. This is a large oil and gas company. Their solution was to save the individual files as .msg files to the shared server. That part was moderately inconvenient, and people in finance or treasury, when you work in a refinery and do engineering support, your records and historic references can be very important. And it doesn't always make sense to save that stuff to a central LAN. We used to joke it was good to get put on the litigation hold because all of those restrictions disappeared. So this is how I think the whole Sarbanes-Oxley thing has been circumvented, and people, it's a big joke, John. I don't think that everyone has all these policies to strip email out and get rid of it.
Well, this reminds me of this, the modern board, especially in a tech company. I was in a board meeting once, and some guy was the secretary was very assiduous about writing down every detail of the meeting, and then after the meeting was over, he got chewed out for writing down any details. Right,
just for having done it at all, yeah.
And it would be like somebody. It should be Joe Blow stood up and discussed the policies regarding personnel. That's it. One short sentence about what he's or nothing, or just nothing happened in this meeting. And this kind of thing is, that's what American business does. We go out of our way to obfuscate because of litigation. The stuff you run into in discovery is nightmarish.
Here's an email from a dude named Ben. He says, I'm working for a defense contractor that had a whistleblower problem. Soon afterwards, a new email policy came out. Email older than 6 months is deleted from the server, and you're prohibited from saving email on your local drive. If you're in a position where you would receive email that needs to be saved longer for compliance reasons, then you have to take a class, install software that would tag the software for archive. The official reason given was the cost of backups. Policies to prevent employees from access to data are everywhere.
The cost of backups?
Yeah.
I guess no one's been to Costco and looked at the price of a terabyte drive.
And then the final from a dude named Ben, who is a supply officer in the U.S. Navy, currently serving in Italy. It is Navy policy. We get only 200 megabytes of storage space on our Exchange server. And by the way, this is the big part of the problem, is Exchange server. Every day before I go home, I have to go through my emails and move older emails to a .pst file on my desktop. We are not allowed to have the .pst files on network storage, so if a hard drive goes, you lose everything, as the Navy is far too cheap to pay for hard drive recovery, and the techniques are overworked and underpaid. The technicians are overworked and underpaid, and they're all named Ben, so they don't give a two shits about them. Navy IT is supposed to back up the emails going through the server to tape for investigative purposes, but I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen at all. Or, as I've seen on multiple occasions, the tapes fail or weren't written correctly and the backups are useless. IT in the government is a joke. It was just a few months ago that we upgraded from Windows XP and Office 2003 to Windows 7 and Office 2010. Well, I do think the IRS is using these hard drive failures as an excuse to cover up wrongdoing. I wouldn't be surprised if their IT department failed too. So what do we make of all this?
Throw out all computers.
And of course, now
what do we make of it? Well, what I make of it is it probably is just as like this is a out of control corrupt government doing what it can to cover up anything it does.
And if total disdain for the public, for the regulations, and it is obvious.
They're the ones that make all these stupid They make all these regulations that go out of control because, I've always said that, we got a do nothing Congress. I always tell people you should be thankful.
Yeah.
Because when the Congress is doing something, it's usually screwing stuff up.
Now, here's what's going to happen.
And everybody's apparently in violation of the Federal Records Protection Act.
Yeah. And I have a piece on that. But first, here's what's going to happen. No one will be made an example of. And unlike the IRS is very specific and actually very personal to me, they make examples of people all the time. You want to prove that you don't have to pay taxes? Wesley Snipes, go to jail for 3 years. They always take some schlub from the entertainment industry who got screwed by managers and agents. Sorry, didn't pay taxes.
Willie Nelson got screwed James Brown.
Everybody. They're always out to make an example of somebody and screw them.
Yeah, it's always usually a very popular singer.
Yeah. And while I think it is important to remind people that they have a duty, there's all kinds of negative connotations for the citizen. And of course, no one is going to be made example of. It is very clear that this company, Sonasoft, had their network-based archiving system in place. This was expressly deleted. It seems to be the way it's done in big business and government alike, because we just don't want to have any record of anything. And by the way, this is not just this government. And this is unfortunately where the conversation is going to go. This has happened so many times. And you might recall this even happened with the Bush administration. Do you remember this little ditty? Here's ISA, by the way. This is going to get play, and the whole thing is going to be, oh yeah, you think you guys are clean? You lost emails too.
I assume that the robust tool you're now using to go through and recapture the PSTs and deconflict the fact that PSTs often have multiple PSTs, and you don't want to have 40,000 copies of the same email, so you have to take care of the duplicates. Those tools didn't exist for Lotus Notes in all likelihood because...
Do you remember this story when they were trying to migrate from Lotus Notes and they lost 22 million emails?
I don't remember it.
Oh, well, here's ISA talking about
way out by the time the Clinton administration was on its way out. Is that roughly correct?
My understanding is the way because they have like a limited dedupe process for ARMS, and it had to be built. That's my understanding.
So here we have a situation where the Clinton administration is on a platform that has to be phased out. They lost the war of who's going to supply emails.
Great explanation of how it works, Daryl.
A period of time goes on in which, yes, we're dealing, to Dr. Weinstein's concern, with getting good archives, but we're also dealing with the fact that I can't play my Betamax tapes anymore either, and I can't seem to find somebody who has a Betamax player anymore. And in a matter of a couple years, it's going to be hard for me to play my high-definition DVDs that were on the platform that now is being phased out.
Nice. So that's how he explained it away. Yeah, and it's total bull crap. All of this is bull crap. Oh, it's on the Lotus Notes. It's completely incompatible. All of this, Daryl, ISA, all these, vote all of them out. I'm sick and tired of the bunch of them. And the Obama administration, who are supposed to be the IT expert, sick of all of them. They're lying sacks. They lie, they cheat, they have total disdain for an educated public. Our public knows how email works. Our public understands how servers work. Here are the people who they call dudes named Ben, who actually run this stuff. And they're saying, look, we're asked to basically obfuscate, delete, get rid of evidence. And the stuff that does work actually works in ways that are not properly explained to the public. And what do we get? Glitch or whatever. And here's Mr. Cool, Koskinen. He's now on a PR drive to go and explain it to everybody. And of course, he shows up on Brolf's show.
Somebody like Paul Ryan accuses you basically of being a liar. That's a pretty serious allegation.
Well, it is a serious allegation. We take the entire question seriously from the start.
Bullshit.
As I said when I began, the improper criteria used to highlight organizations for investigation just by their name was a mistake. I apologize to anybody who had their applications held up needlessly. Everybody needs to be confident that the IRS is going to treat them fairly no matter who they are.
That's really interesting. He basically just said, okay, no, that's not important. We're sorry about that. Which is what the whole thing was about in the first place. Hey, we're sorry that we just looked at your names and said, hey, let's investigate these guys. Okay, but let's move on. What? This is brilliant.
Republicans, Democrats, whatever organization they belong to.
Shouldn't someone be blamed for this antiquated, awful system that allowed official records to simply disappear?
Well, I think the IG is investigating all of the issues about the hard drive crash.
And this is Brolf, the top-notch guy at CNN, reading a scripted question and getting the hard drive crash as an answer.
Hard drive crash. My approach when I parachute into these things is to try to fix the problems rather than try to figure out how to blame. And some time ago, I asked for us to review exactly how the email system runs and whether we couldn't convert to a more searchable, more retainable email system. I've also...
which is a lie. They have an incredibly well-archived, searchable system, as we just heard from someone who implements Sonasoft.
Right. No, it's a fantastic system.
Said we need to respond to the concerns of the archivist, who came out with a very interesting...
The archivist? They have a hoarder?
...suggestion recently that for agencies struggling moving forward into an electronic system...
Wait a minute. The IRS is struggling to move into an electronic system? Are you kidding me? Please, this is an insult.
With a very interesting suggestion recently that for agencies struggling moving forward into an electronic system, they should take the senior people and make sure all of those records and emails are preserved. I should emphasize that all emails are not official records. So if an email is lost, it doesn't mean we've lost an official record.
Now, this is now that is a blatant lie. Emails, of course, are official records. That's why there's retention laws for your organization. And now he's making something up.
Why shouldn't taxpayers use the crashed hard drive excuse when undergoing an IRS audit?
So meme.
Yeah, and this is the script. And now listen to the answer.
A number of them already have done that, and the question has been, is there a dual standard? And as I've said, the IRS has 24,000 Lois Lerner emails from this period. We historically, if a taxpayer has lost electronic records, have said, if you have other indications and evidence of what went on, we'll take that from you. If you lose a document, it doesn't mean you lose the argument. We actually work with taxpayers to say, we'll look at other evidence, like the 24,000 emails, and if we can find any evidence to support your case, and in fact, if the circumstances support your case, we'll support you and you won't have any problem.
Now, this is so unfair what he's saying. So on one hand, yes, I've personally witnessed that they will take pretty much everything and believe you. And this is my own, I've had so much shit with the IRS in my past who come in armed. They will take all kinds of evidence. But if that's all your evidence, like this case where they cannot produce these emails, they're not saying, oh, but we have this to prove it. No, they're saying we don't have it. And when you do that with the IRS, they say, well, sorry, you have nothing to show. You got to pay for it. So it's a false premise that he's putting up here.
He's Mr. Cool.
Yeah. Well,
not going to beat this guy.
I will not stop. There's a couple things I won't stop. Haiti, I'm not going to stop on Haiti, and I'm not going to stop on this. This is the essence. The fact that the system has tricked people into this income tax IRS system, which is not exactly what they say it is. And that's a whole different show. And when you get into that, people, oh, you're just crazy. But okay. It's a system that is supposed to work, but it is based on trust. And if there's no real outrage, which I believe the media is trying to downplay this, and this is clearly a polishing, shiny, make him look good job with Brolf reading the script. If there's no outrage, we are told this is the end of it. Then there's nothing. There's nothing left. What are you going to get angry about?